Okay, guys, we are back, I think. Sorry about the technical problems. You know how it goes. It's like a little editorial commentary about Xfinity. One thing that drives me nuts is the fact that, Xfinity just recently announced that they're going to start charging overages if your Wi-Fi usage goes over a certain amount. I don't know if you guys know about this. They didn't put that limit in effect because they were being kind enough to make it for free during the time when we were all going through this, at-home stuff. But now they decided, hey, you know what? Now that everybody's working from home, let's just charge everybody if they go over. And they're going to go over because everybody's streaming and doing all kinds of stuff. So you get that, and then I can't even get reliable internet for crying out loud. So. And, of course, the chat is, locked up for me now, so I don't even have a chat working at the moment. So I'm still trying to see if this is going. Are we even live? I'm not even sure. Let's see. Let's find out here.
Still live.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's nuts, man. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is like live technical troubleshooting on the air, which is great. This is great live TV. Okay, so Calvin, I'm sorry, man. I can't remember even where we left off with you. I think we were talking about the season, weren't we?
Yeah, and training. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's back up because probably we lost some of that last time. So I think we're all fixed now. I think we're good. So I apologize to everybody who's watching this. Thanks for going through these speed bumps with me. I want to back up a little bit, Calvin, just talk a little bit about your take again about this NFL season coming up here.
Yeah, as Noah mentioned earlier, I think that everything's going to be delayed, starting off with training camps. They talked about the preseason being canceled entirely, and I think that's a great idea, especially in circumstances like this. What good is the preseason? I mean, I feel bad for the undrafted guys or for the guys on the bubble of making rosters, and I definitely feel bad for them. But I just feel like there really isn't a need for the preseason with everything that's going on, and with the expected changes that are to come. And so I think that, like I said, it's a brilliant idea. I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this impacts fantasy, because a lot of people have been talking to me about how fantasy might be very difficult to get into this upcoming season, and so I'm just kind of worried. But I think that the NFL, I mean, it's definitely still going to go on. There's too much money to be made. As selfish or as greedy as that might sound, I just think that that's the ultimate reality. And so I'm not worried about the season not being played because, I don't know, at the end of the day, I just feel like, being the owner to be made.
So Unix Format in the Super Chat. Thank you, man, for the support. You're always in there blowing things up. But he says, what's up, y'all? Go Hawks. Love that NorbCam hat. So there you go. Yes, appreciate that, man. Got to cover the messy hair from not having showered for 4 days. Okay. Woo. Yes, that's how we roll, baby. Direct from Mount Rainier camping right into the studio. I think we didn't mention that. No, I think you'd mentioned about how the Eagles had said they weren't going to have any games. Well, I do believe that MetLife Stadium also said that the two New York teams are not going to have fans either. So New York Giants, New York Jets. If my understanding, my little headlines that had popped up on my way back here once the internet came back for me from my trip, I believe that's what I heard too. So that's another team, really two teams now that are going to be without fans in the stands, and that's a big. That's two-team big-time market right there. You guys heard the same thing too, right? Isn't New York off the table for fans in 2020? Colin,
I didn't hear about it.
I think so, but I'm not really sure.
I'm pretty sure I saw that. Calvin, did you hear anything about that as far as the Jets and the Giants?
I definitely did. And I think, I'm not sure what team it was, but was it the Falcons? The Buccaneers. No, definitely not the Buccaneers, but I think it might have been the Falcons. I think they said they were going to allow 20,000 or only up to 20,000 fans. And so some teams are going to, set the cap at, either 10K or like 5K, 20K. And so I'm not surprised that, those New York teams aren't going with any fans at all. But
I mean, the Jets, it's no big deal whether they have fans in there or not. They're not really missing much. But, the Giants, they got a resurgence here. I'm just kidding. Gangrene David, no offense to you. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. Yeah, man, it's just, for me, this little few days got me a chance to, get away from everything and just sort of reflect a little bit on life. Enjoy the simpler things like taking a walk on the hiking trails. For a second, you almost felt like you kind of forgot about COVID, except people are still walking around in masks around some of the trails. Not everybody, but some people were, and we were occasionally when there was enough people, around us. Just to remind you that things aren't completely normal. But, man, you come back and then just look at the sports world. And I know, Noah, you said, I think Colin too, that, yeah, it's a lot of rich people trying to make more money. But now it's two rich groups, owners and players, trying to figure out how to split. First, they're usually fighting about how to split the revenues. Now they're fighting about how to split the losses, because obviously they're going to be losing a lot of money this year. The question is, who's going to pay for that loss more than the other? And I think that's what the big source of the disagreement is. I'm just feeling like, how would you guys feel if certain players opted out? Because I still believe, I brought this up in my last story, that there was this option where if certain players wanted to opt out of the 2020 season before August 1st, if they gave their notice to do so, they could. Do you think any of the star players could potentially opt out? And how do you think that would affect the game if major names in the games were to opt out? Colin, I'll start with you.
I think it's definitely a possibility that some major players will opt out of the game. I mean, we've already seen them making this like social media movement of we want to play. So clearly it's not about the fact that they don't want to play or that they're worried about revenue. It's just a lot of these guys have families and they don't want their families to like get sick or anything. So I think a lot of guys are going to value their health, especially veterans with guaranteed money. So I hope that all of the Seahawks come to training camp, but I feel like I can still respect them even if they don't.
And I totally understand where they're coming from too, but again, the varying degrees of players, how much certain players are making and what stage of the career they're at, and security in their career. Obviously, some people have a lot more to lose if they don't play in 2020 than those who pretty much have years of guaranteed income, whether they play or not this year. I personally would feel a lot less motivated to watch a Seahawks game, if I knew that certain players, aka a Russell Wilson or big name guys like that, weren't going to be playing. That changed my whole perspective on the team. But what do you think, Noah? What's your take on that? You think we're going to have players opting out, and if so, how will that affect the game?
Well, I think what it's important for us to remember as fans is that these aren't just football players. These are husbands. These are fathers that are going home to pregnant wives. And these are people that have enough wealth to have, in the left wing of their mansion, have their grandparents staying with them. So, it's not just them that they're thinking about. It's their families as well. And the fact that football is not a lot of people in the past have said football is a contact sport. Football is not a contact sport. Basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. Because of that, sweat is always being interchanged between players. There's going to be no social distancing between players except for DK Metcalf and the rest of the defense because of how he gets behind it. But in terms of like players like Russell Wilson, yes, you can put him in shotgun, but eventually he's going to touch somebody. So it's completely fair for players that want to opt out. You look at what Avery Bradley did in the NBA. This season is probably going to have some sort of asterisk next to it. But as long as a team that we would consider in the preseason or during the season to be one of the favorites ends up winning the Super Bowl, there's always going to be a case to be made that, it was was rightfully earned. And in terms of the money being lost, the way that I think it should be approached, and I think this has to go all the way up through the owner, the only way that's going to be, fair for some of these players, if the players have to lose money at all. So I think the majority of the money should be lost by the billionaires that are behind the organizations that have the most money that they can afford to give up in one of these situations. Because you look at some of the fringe players, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. What if they have that taken away after they just finally made it out of a rough situation in life? So I think it has to be percentage based, and I think it has to go through ownership. That way, the same percent is being taken out of people's paychecks, whereas the people that make $35 million a year, $40 million per year, end up giving up more money than those that are only making a couple $100,000. So I think that's the way that we protect the majority of the players. We don't allow certain players, if they're maybe on the rookie deals or undrafted potentially, maybe we just don't take some of their money. We still pay them because it is about family first rather than football. And as long as the NFL understands that and treats their players with that level of respect, I think there's a way we could get it done.
If Russell Wilson decided I'm opting out, I got a pregnant wife, I've got kids, I'm going to sit this one out because I've got a lot of money, a lot more money that I don't have to worry about, but I got more to worry about in terms of a family getting sick in a sport that they can't guarantee my safety. How is that going to change? Do you think that could happen? And then would that change how you look at this season? Would you watch the Seahawks with the same passion and commitment if you knew that a guy like Russell Wilson wasn't going to be playing?
That's an easy yes. To your last question, that's an easy yes. I think that it's very possible. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's very possible. And if that was the decision that he would come to, then I wouldn't, and I can't blame him for that. I definitely agree with both what Colin and Noah said. I mean, I said everything really. And the player's health, that has to matter, or that has to be prioritized over, playing football. So you can't fault any players making that decision if they ultimately decide to do so. And going back to your third question, I'd still watch the Seahawks with the same passion. It doesn't matter if we were the worst team of football. I'd still be, out there going crazy, watching every single game. And I think it's highly unlikely. Russell Wilson got, a few more Super Bowls to win, and he's in the prime of his career now. I'm not saying that's going to take priority over his family, but I just think that I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
Well, we know that Russell Wilson is not one to take a play off or a game off, less a season. Because how many times have we seen Russell Wilson take himself out when he had the opportunity to? Never. Doesn't matter how many times his ankle is rolled up on, his knee rolled up on, he found some way to get on the field. So I throw that out there as hypothetical because it may not be our Russell Wilson, but it might be somebody else's team. It might be somebody else's star player. But I guess we'll all be tested on that if that day should come. But I do hope it gets worked out. It's just such a weird season. So much going on that is just bizarre, man. Whoever thought in this day and age that we would be facing something like this, but it just goes to show you how this tiny little microscopic little dude can just completely screw up the entire, form of, of our world, from our health to our economy and doggone it to our sports entertainment. I mean, those little viruses, man, freaking know what they're doing. It's crazy. Let's see. What else were we going to talk about? Remind me here, Noah. We got off on a little tangent. We were going to talk about something else. What was I going to talk about? A little bit of Kansas City Chiefs perspective here. Obviously, the defending Super Bowl champions. I read today that Chris Jones, the newly signed, soon-to-be very wealthy Chris Jones, promised that the Chiefs are going to win at least 5 more titles. He did the LeBron James things in Miami. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 5, and then Tyreek Hill saying they're going to win 7. If you're a player, I'm just thinking, man, why are you going to go do that? Why are you going to go you already got a big enough bullseye on your back. Do you really want that much more heat? But can they back up their talk with that? And remember, we're talking about a team now that, they won the Super Bowl, but they also just signed some massive contracts, and with a salary cap that, depending on how this whole thing's played out, this may affect the team's abilities to. It's no longer going to be the salary cap that I think we're expecting it to, where it's just growing every year. It could potentially diminish in the next couple of years. It's going to change the equation entirely. So before I go to Colin with that question, just a quick shout out to Jeremy Goebel, who says Anaheim Ducks versus the Seattle Krakens, 2021. Yes, there you go. A matchup for the ages to circle on your calendar. It's going to be pretty wild. Colin, what do you think? Kansas City Chiefs. Can they back up their talk? 5, 7 Lombardis? Are they crazy? What do you think?
I think it's easy to say that now when they have this really stacked roster that might be the best in the NFL. But I mean, as you said, we don't know what's going to go on with the salary cap. And even if it does continue to grow, they're probably not going to be able to bring back many players just because of Mahomes' big contract. So I don't think they're going to be able to win 5 to 7. But maybe they'll add a few more within the next decade or so.
The Seahawks, after Super Bowl 48, I was thinking we could win not just 1, not just 2, 3, 4, 5, but we should have won 2. We should have won 2, and you know it. And if we'd won 2, I think we would have been set up to get number 3. You know how it works, is that chain reaction thing. Of course, it was a chain reaction that went the opposite direction. But as the Seahawks have shown, we've been in the playoffs almost every single year with the exception of 2017. It should have been in the playoffs in 2017. But man, how difficult it has been to get back to the big game. What was that?
My bad. I said in 2017, we still went 9-7, even though we missed the playoffs. So we've always finished over 500 since Russell Wilson's been.
Yeah, absolutely. We've always had a winning record, even if we didn't make the playoffs that year. So I think we all felt when Percy Harvin was going to be back, everything was going to be great the next year, and man, did we have to overcome some adversity just to make it back in that next season. Noah, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think they're being a little bit optimistic, and I understand where they're coming from a player standpoint. Playing for the team, you want to show your guys that you believe in each other and that, oh yeah, it's all going to work out great, we're all going to be just fine, but last time that I checked, the NFL has a lot of issues that sometimes players don't have complete control of. For instance, when a bad call happens that eliminates a team from the playoffs. Norb, going back, and I'm dating back here now to the very beginning when we first started streaming together, one thing I used to always talk about was come playoff time, come late in ball games with everything on the line, all I want is an opportunity to be in the ball game. And that's what it really comes down to in football, because there are always unforeseeable circumstances that any given season, any given game are going to prevent you from being in the situation, the position that you want to be. There's always that, well, what if we would have just dominated from the beginning and never fell behind, but then late in the Carolina game, come back from a 24-point deficit, 31-point deficit to cut it to 31-24 and still can't get it done. What if we just wouldn't have fallen behind by one of those touchdowns? There's always that if, the but, what if, and so because of that, I think things are going to get in the way of this team that are unforeseeable and unpredictable. But you got to realize here, it's Kansas City versus the field, and the field is 31 other NFL teams that are anxiously trying to put themselves in the same position as Kansas City. So because of that, I'm inclined to say, and I've been on record saying before, that I think Kansas City gets to, over this Patrick Mahomes contract, 4 more Super Bowls, and of those 4, they're going to win 2. It sounds like not a lot, but you think about it in hindsight, that's 3 Super Bowl wins in his career. I have it 2020, 2023, 2028, and 2030, because in the middle of that, Patrick Mahomes is going to make a lot of money. These guys aren't going to continue to be on this team. That defense was barely good enough to win the Super Bowl this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to trend the other way next year. These guys are getting paid. What happens after they get paid? Amari Cooper became the second highest paid wide receiver in the NFL last year, and immediately following, he took a major step back. Same with Ezekiel Elliott. Same with a lot of other guys around the NFL. So now that these guys are making top dollar, is their motivation factor really going to be there? They're on top of the world. They're making themselves the most hated team in the NFL right now, and because of that, they're painting a huge target on their back. That's why for Kansas City, I say they make 4 Super Bowls and they only win 2.
Well, still being able to make 4 Super Bowls, even that is a challenge not done by very many teams. Calvin, what's your thoughts on that? Kansas City, all talk? Do you think they can back up? That's a lot of numbers, man. 5 to 7. What do you think?
Most definitely. Well, first of all, I want to say that I don't think the players are crazy for for saying 5, 6, 7. Maybe he's crazy for saying it publicly, but I think that down each and every single player on every single NFL roster should want to, well, every single. We all understand that, as Noah, pointed out, there are a whole bunch of factors that could affect, certain teams from winning a Super Bowl this year or that year, injuries, suspensions, just, all kinds of things. But I think that the goal is to win a championship every single year. And I think that with the Kansas City Chiefs, in a unique situation that they have Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback talent of all time. And I think that as long as you have him behind center, you're in contention for the Super Bowl every single year. And so think about in the next 10 years, the duration of Mahomes' contract. I'm not going to predict that they're going to make, this many Super Bowls, but I think that out of 10 years, they can make the Super Bowl maybe 6, 7 times. And then maybe out of that, they can win 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 times, 4 or 5. You have the foundation of your, offense and defense locked up. Even if you don't have the flexibility to add to the team now, I feel like, guys are still young enough to be able to contribute for another good 4 or 5 years. Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, Chris Jones. You have your 3 superstars on defense. On offense, you have, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes. As long as you have those 6 players and maybe, Andy Reid, I think you're a Super Bowl, contender every single year just with those guys. It's on Kansas City's, front office to draft well, and usually they do tend to draft well. But in the next couple of years, they're really going to have to, amp it up even more and kick it up a notch. But I don't know. If I have to give it a percentage, I'd say maybe a good 40, 45. I'm a little bit more optimistic. I understand that, there's threats all over the NFL. NFC is stacked. Obviously Seattle, San Fran, New Orleans, Dallas, Philly, Tampa Bay, and then in the AFC, Baltimore, Houston, New England could still potentially be a threat, depending on how Cam Newton plays out. But I'm that confident in Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time already. Now many other teams can say that, they had a guy like Patrick Mahomes, behind center. And so I think that's what makes the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, the quarterback, is the guy who it all starts there. And obviously they get paid the most. The AFC, I think it's going to come down. We're going to see, I think, a lot of Ravens-Chiefs games going down the stretch there, because I'm sure the Ravens, at least the fans, are probably going 5, 7 times. Excuse me. Do you guys remember what Lamar Jackson did last year, MVP? So those two guys in the same division, in the same conference, are definitely going to be battling out to see who can rise to the top every single year. Patrick Mahomes is great and proved it in the Super Bowl, but can he do it every single year? And Lamar Jackson's, he's not like over the hill and going to be gone soon. Those guys both got a lot of football ahead of them. So it's going to be fun to watch these two teams, going at each other. And but you never know. You never know who those two, the favorites right now is the ones that are going to be kind of at the top. But there's like the ones you mentioned, going to make it very interesting. So we shall see. So one other thing before we go into the trivia, because I know that's what people are here for. I just want to throw out a quick, so we're talking about, the Chiefs saying what they're going to accomplish. Seattle's got a lot to do, and the one thing we can always hang our hat on is Russell Wilson. Fortunately, we still got him for a few more years. But what is it going to take for Seattle to get back there, to get at least to the championship game? We know the 49ers are going to be there, and a lot of other teams contending. What's the number one thing Seattle's got to do differently this year to get further than they got stuck with last year? Colin, I'll start with you.
Russell Wilson can only carry us so far. And today I was watching a documentary on the Seahawks YouTube channel about the 2013 season. And I think the thing that really made that team so special was they just had a bunch of no-name players that balled out. They didn't need people counting on them to do good. They just came out of nowhere and played well. And I think we need that this year. I think we need some younger guys, especially on the defensive line, guys like Rasheem Green and LJ Collier to step up and play at a big level, since we haven't really gotten a lot of superstars in free agency. So I think all of those guys who might not even be making the roster because of the preseason have to prove themselves, and we have to have a new generation of talent come in to help us win and go farther this year.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't watched that 2013 look back, but I've watched enough videos and have relived the 2013 season enough to remember what we had going for us. You're right. It was a lot of great players playing for very little money, a lot of depth, and we had the best defense going on. We had a very low-paid secondary, a very low-paid quarterback, a very low-paid middle linebacker who eventually all those guys would go all-pro. And that's, I guess, if anything, you bring that up 2013, it's the warning sign to the Kansas City Chiefs, because they're at that point right now where you're feeling top of the world, but you're already seeing it in just the contracts they did in the offseason. That money shift, it takes a toll, and we couldn't afford to be like we were in 2013. So you're right. I think the draft and the new guys who either first, second-year players or the rookies, and, of course, the challenge for the rookies coming in with a COVID-19 shortened season, no training camp, now no preseason, training camp start up in the air, probably everything's shortened. Everyone's going to have this limited time to go from zero to full speed. It's going to be either some really good players making some amazing plays or some really sloppy football to start the year. But fortunately, we don't have to worry about that as much on the offensive side with our quarterback. Defensively, there's going to be some guys running around, trying to figure things out. But Noah, what do you think, man? What's the key? What's the one thing, if you can put it as the one thing that Seattle's got to do?
I'm going to make a groundbreaking announcement that I'm going to post a video about shortly. It might be a week or so. But one thing that Seattle needs to do this year, and it kind of ties into what you guys said about our 2013 roster. Well, what made that team so successful? It was having so many guys that weren't supposed to be great, outperforming their contracts. What does that mean? It means we were drafting well. It means we were finding talent extremely well. Well, over the past couple of years, it feels like it's been a steady decline in terms of our drafting success. Every single year, Rashad Penny in the first round, Romani Fetty in the first round, Malik McDowell in the first round. Jordan Brooks better work out for Seattle. This year, our draft needs to be successful, because if we're unable to bring in and develop that young talent, which is going to be harder this year than any other year potentially in NFL history because of the lack of a training camp and the whole situation with COVID, it's going to be harder for those bubble players to make the roster, which is going to make it extremely difficult for Seattle to develop talent. And what that means for Seattle, not only is that going to be a problem, but we've also struggled, and there are a couple teams in the NFL, San Francisco, Baltimore and Seattle, all teams that have that old school run the football down your throat mentality. Well, Seattle, eventually we need to evolve that mentality. Changes the name of the game, changes the name of the NFL. We need to trust in where our assets lie. Now that Russell Wilson is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, we need to run our offense as if we have at least for right now, this very moment, the highest paid player. That I'm calling for Pete Carroll's job if our offense doesn't evolve after this season, because it's been year after year after year where we're seeing mistakes being made. We had our identity and we went away from it when it mattered the most on the 1 yard line of the Super Bowl. And then ever since then, that identity hasn't worked. We haven't had a beast mode. We haven't got back to the Super Bowl. We've been a perennial contender, but if we're unable to evolve our offense the way that a Kansas City has, the way that Arizona is now going with the air raid offense, offenses are now airing the ball out more than ever, and we have the second best quarterback in the NFL right now. And because of that, if we're not using him properly, I want Pete Carroll out, and I want a new head coach that's going to modernize the offense.
Wow. That's a huge, bold statement there, man, especially for Pete Carroll being the winningest head coach of all time for the Seattle Seahawks, and, of course, getting them in every single year to the playoffs with the exception of one. Calvin, you share the same thoughts, or do you have a different take on the key to Seattle being successful next year?
I definitely agree, but just add a little bit of my own spice. I feel like our pass rush, when you look at our 2013 and 2014 Super Bowl teams, you looked at what was the strength, and we had a whole bunch, but pass rush was definitely one of them. We had a whole bunch of guys that we could rotate, and Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, Red Bryant, Chris Clemens, Tony McDaniel. You know, we had a whole bunch of guys, both interior and on the exterior. And so I think that with a pass rush in place, a solid pass rush, because, I mean, after what happened last season, there's nowhere to go but we were 28. And I think with pass rush, that comes with bringing back Jadeveon Clowney. And I think that having a pass rush can help solidify things on the back end because our secondary struggled. But imagine if our secondary had a pass rush, and imagine if they didn't have to cover for so long. And I feel like, you know, we'd be in the upper half of the league in terms of, you know, having one of the better secondaries. Because, you know, Pete Carroll, he's not just a defensive-minded head coach. He's a defensive back-minded head coach. And so we all know he knows what he's doing in the secondary. So I think that as long as we have a pass rush, that could help the secondary out tremendously. I mean, we have Quandre Diggs, who's going to have a full offseason, albeit, you know, in the circumstances, you know, that it is now. But that's still a full offseason. Shaq Griffin should be able to build off of a Pro Bowl year last season. We all hope and pray that Quentin Dunbar plays, but obviously we can't rely on that. And so if Trey Flowers has to step in, then, I mean, there's nowhere to go but up for him as well. He did show, you know, a little bit of promise his rookie year. And although he took a major step backward last season, I mean, once again, he has nowhere to go but up. And so we also look at Marquise Blair. You know, he's up and coming. I think that, you know, having a pass rush can, you know, help solidify everything on defense. We also have the linebackers. We have, you know, Bobby Wagner, the best linebacker in football. Jordan Brooks, you know, he was drafted in the first round for a reason. And he's led college football in tackles, or at least his conference in tackles, last couple of seasons for a reason. KJ Wright had a career high tackles last season. And so I think that every single level will be solidified once a pass rush is present.
I think you guys are all right. I think every one of your points are correct. I'm going to say one thing that nobody's brought up here, and I think the one thing that Seattle's got to get right is they've just got to be freaking healthy. I argue that last year, despite whatever things, you know, the coaching staff did, draft picks that they may or may have missed on, but if we had a healthy running back room, if we had Will Dissly for the entire season and into the postseason, I think we're talking a whole different tune. I think Seattle wins the game against the Packers, goes against the 49ers. Well, actually, we would have beaten the 49ers. We would have hosted a home playoff game. We probably ultimately still would have faced the Packers. I think we would have won, and I think we would have been in the Super Bowl had those things happened. So that alone, I think, it just goes to show how huge the wild card aspect of injuries can completely, you know, derail all the best moves, all the best drafts, and all the best laid plans, and even the best quarterback. Because if you get too many of your tools taken away, as we did last year, you know, it's hard to get very far. We got pretty far considering that we were one play away from winning the divisional game and getting to the NFC Championship. All right, let's get into this. Oh, by the way, Unix Format again, always supporting the Super Chat. He says, always compete. Thanks, Noah and Calvin. He likes your analysis. All right, let's do this, man. I know everyone's been waiting. Get your trivia minds ready and get your Kahoot apps launched, or Kahoot.com, and we're going to do this. You guys ready? Panel, you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. The theme of this contest is the 2019 Seattle Seahawks. All right, we're going to go recent territory here, so let's do this. The pin number is 932-649. 932-649. We'll take the first 50 players, if we have 50 players out there. 932-649. Nick LaBow, first one in there. Mateo Estrada. Norb is the best. The sports nerd, of course. Go Hawks. John Cena. Shinoy. Chrysostomo. Sky High Aviation. Japanese Beast. Canada Hawks. Tyler. Ace Pulls. Aaron. Marine City. The Dude 116. Ray in Des Moines. Remember the time. Ivan the Hawk. Big Ant. Dangerous. Where's that Schmilligod? Is Schmilligod in here? I gotta keep saying that name, Schmilligod. I just like the way that sounds. We've got 26 in there. Come on, keep it rolling. We'll try to get as close to 50 as we can. Pay George Kittle. Obviously, we got a 49er fan in the house. Big Ant. Who else we got? There's Schmilligar in the house. Trevor M. Deadly. Drippy XD. Go Patriots. Crackhead. Japanese Beast. 31 players in there now. Give you about 30 more seconds. Hopefully we can get close to 50 here. Since I paid $240 to have access to have 50 players. So you guys fill up this thing. Make it worth it. Doggone it. Norb is GOAT. King Russ. Go Patriots. I said that already. Unix left nut. Come on, man. Unix has blown up the super chat. Got to give some love. Trevor M. 33, 34 people. Emerald Downs in the house. Beast Mode in the house. 15 more seconds here. 2019 Seahawks, baby. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. 12 questions coming up. 10 seconds to go. We got 33 in here. I know you guys are over on the East Coast. It's been late. It's almost midnight over there where you guys are coming from. DZ in the house. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're running with 36 tonight. You guys ready to do this? Colin,
Yes, sir.
Calvin,
Yeah.
Noah, and I think Seahawks Martin might actually be in the chat watching along with this as well. Okay, let's do this. Let's start the game right now. All right, question number 1. What was the Seahawks regular season record in 2019? Was it 10-6, 11-5, 12-4, or 9-7? An easy one. Seahawks regular season record in 2019. 10-6, 11-5, 12-4, or 9-7. This should be an easy one. Time is up. Oh yeah, look at that. 26 of you guys got it right. I had to give you a real easy one to start this one off. I was feeling generous. Colin, what's your answer?
That was easy. Norb 11-5.
Yep. Calvin?
Same here. 11,
Noah?
5.
No, I just put the 1 right there.
Knock that down.
All right. Easy one. It only gets harder from here, maybe. Let's go to question. Or actually, we got to go to the scoreboard on YouTube. Let's see how everyone's doing after this. Very easy question to start it off. Michael Mullins in first place. Crackhead. In second, the sports nerd. Kansas City Chiefs fan. In third, the Sky High Aviation. Trying to make a repeat. Number 4. And Japanese Beast at number 5. Next question. Question number 2. Who scored the first touchdown of the Seahawks 2019 season? Was it David Moore, Jacob Hollister, Tyler Lockett, or Chris Carson? First touchdown scored by the Seahawks 2019 season was scored by David Moore, Jacob Hollister, Tyler Lockett, or Chris Carson. That would have been against the Cincinnati Bengals in game number 1. David Moore, Hollister, Lockett, or Carson? Oh, look at that. Pretty sharp today, you guys. 18 of you guys said Chris Carson, and that answer would be correct. Let's go to the panel. Gentlemen, Colin, what do you got?
I believe it was Chris Carson on a receiving touchdown.
Very good. Calvin,
I said Chris Carson, but with different logic.
what was your logic?
Just that, I don't know. I really didn't know which player it was, but I know that because we're a run-first team, it had to have been a rushing touchdown. I said Chris Carson. But now that Colin brings that up, I do remember that touchdown he's talking about.
Ironically,
And it wasn't a rushing.
Ironically enough, the run first team scored their first touchdown with a pass to a running back. Noah?
You know, this was the only game I was able to go to last year, and I remember the play.
And it was a pass to Chris Carson. All right, let's YouTube do pretty good here. Let's see how the scoreboard shakes out after that question. Michael Mullins stays in top number at first. Sky High Aviation to second. Shinoy into the top 5 at number 3. Cameron Hughes also onto the top 5 at 4th, 5 points behind Shinoy. And Nick LaBow, welcome back, Nick, into the top 5 at 5th place. Up 14 places. DZ is the highest climber, trying to get onto the top 5. Next question. Question number 3. Who scored the last touchdown of the 2019 Seahawks season? Was it DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Marshawn Lynch, or Jacob Hollister?
Are we saying regular season?
Yes, regular season. Sorry, regular season. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Marshawn Lynch, or Jacob Hollister? Regular season. I appreciate you clarifying the question. That was a good point. Good chunk of you got this one right. DK Metcalf was the correct answer. Let's go to the panel. Colin.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of it recently for a video, and as Noah said earlier in the stream, DK Metcalf was practicing social distancing before it was cool. So easy touchdown for him.
Calvin.
Wow. I got it wrong. I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't think it was DK.
Who did you think it was?
Beast.
Hold on, so it was DK. Oh, I thought it was Beast Mode. Because I thought Beast Mode scored, and then I think we were within like 3 or like 5, and then obviously Jacob Hall didn't convert that last touch, and so I thought before that it was Beast Mode who punched it in from the 1 yard line.
Marshawn Lynch definitely had the most memorable touchdown of that game, but yes, we needed one more after DK. Noah?
Yeah, no, I almost went with Beast Mode on this one because I remember the impact that he had late in the season, but I remember DK Metcalf breaking away from the defense, and we were trying to come back, so we were airing it out quite a bit, so I went with DK.
All right. A lot of people fell for the Marshawn Lynch trap as well, but let's go to the scoreboard. We've got Shinoy at first place. Nick LaBow slides up to second. Dangerous in third place. DZ at fourth. And Deadly moves in at fifth. Wow, big change in the entire top 5 here. Up 12 places. C. Pigeon Roast is the highest climber. Let's go to the next question. Here we go. Question number 4. Against which team did Chris Carson suffer his season-ending injury? The Los Angeles Rams, Carolina Panthers, San Francisco 49ers, or the Arizona Cardinals? Which team did Chris Carson suffer his season-ending injury? The Rams, the Panthers, the 49ers, or the Cardinals? Look at that. Oh, man, you guys just nailed that one. 29 of you got the Cardinals correct. That was a very sad day for a number of reasons. I think the big one was losing Chris Carson, but then we had good news right after that when Marshawn Lynch was coming in as our hero to take his place. To the panel, Colin.
I remember because I didn't watch that game, so when I saw the score after the game was over, I just remember the disappointment that we lost, and I wondered how, and Chris Carson getting injured just stuck in my memory.
Bad memory for sure. Calvin.
Yeah, I said the Cardinals. I was at that game, and I remember not seeing him for a while, and I was like, where's Chris Carson at? And later on, I think I checked my phone, and then it said that he was out for the remainder of the game. And then so I was like, wow, like no wonder he was gone for so long. But yeah, that was the only game I went to, and that was my first game, so no way I forget that.
Noah.
Yeah, Calvin shouldn't be allowed back, but I remembered it because I remember losing Penny to the Rams, and then the Cardinals the following weeks against Arizona. We lost 2 running backs, and one of them's got to be Carson. So, yeah, I recall.
All right, let's check out the YouTube scoreboard after that question. Shinoy stays on top. Nick LaBow on fire with 4 correct answers in a row in second place. Deadly moves up to third. DZ hanging in there at fourth. And Michael Mullins gets into the top 5 at number 5. Here's the next question. Question number 5. Who scored the lone touchdown versus the Cardinals at home? Was it Nick Ballore, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, or DK Metcalf? Who scored the 1 touchdown against those Cardinals in that home loss? Nick Ballore, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, or DK Metcalf? You have 3 seconds. Time is up. Pretty sharp, YouTube. 19 of you guys guessed Nick Boelter, not exactly the name that pops in your head is thinking who's going to be the guy to score, but he did get that opening touchdown. Looked like a good start, and all went downhill from there. Let's go to the panel. Colin.
I used the logic that I've seen Noah use before of choosing the player that almost no one's heard of, and it worked.
Wow, got lucky on the guess here. Calvin.
Wow, that's crazy. I chose Boelter too for the same reason.
The trap is working, or anti-trap mentality. Noah.
Norb, maybe I should stop explaining myself. But I honestly, I did the same thing. How could the little Padawans beat the sensei? You know, like how could they do that logic? That's literally the logic I thought of too. I'm like, if I was writing the question, Nick Boelter would not be an option unless he was the answer. So.
Wait, but no, you made Padawan plural. I think you meant to. I don't think you meant to.
Both of you. Grasshopper.
Grasshoppers. All right, let's go to the. You better do well the rest of the way, Noah. You might be eating your words here, man. All right, let's go to the scoreboard on YouTube. Oh, Shinoy hanging in there, 51.90. Right on his heels, though, Deezy moving up. Deadly in third. Nick LaBow hanging in fourth. And C Pigeon Roast. That's got to be Rohan, man. It sounds like a total Rohan name. On the top 5 at 5th. Up 8 places, Japanese Beast is the highest climber, trying to get on the top 5. Here we go, next question. Question number 6. Which of these defensive backs had no interceptions in 2019? Bradley McDougald, Trey Flowers, Shaquille Griffin, or Quandre Diggs? Which defensive back had no interceptions last season? Bradley McDougald, Trey Flowers, Shaquille Griffin, or Quandre Diggs? Which one had no interceptions? McDougald, Flowers, Griffin, or Diggs? I had a feeling this might trap a few of you guys because we often complain about Trey Flowers being the weak part of this defensive secondaries. Ironically enough, it was Shaquille Griffin who had no picks in the 2019 season. It was actually a surprise for myself when I looked it up. I had to double check. I said, really? Because we all talked about what a great season he had last season, but not everything is about picks alone. Let's go to the panel. Colin.
Yeah, this surprised me too, but I knew that Quandre got one because of that game against the Rams. He got pick 6. And then I knew Trey Flowers got some because he seemed to get a lot of picks, even though he wasn't very good last year. So it was between McDougald and Shaquille Griffin. And I'm not with my gut, and it was Griffin.
So you chose Griffin?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got it right. You guessed right. Okay. Man, you're on a 6 straight answered, man. On fire here. Calvin.
I got it wrong.
Who did you think it was? Did you fall for the Trey Flowers trap?
I did. Because I was thinking because Griffin made his first Pro Bowl, I was like, hold up. No, he had to have had at least one pick. And so I was like, it can't be Griffin. And then I remember Quandre Diggs had, I think, 5 picks, was it? Or I might be tripping. But I know he had picks for sure. He had a few, more than a few. Bradley McDougald, I know he had more than a few. And so I was just like, Trey Flowers took a major step backward. And I don't remember any interceptions. So I went with Trey Flowers, but obviously I got it wrong.
I got to go with Noah here. How did you do on this one?
So I've actually done a whole lot of research on our secondary this offseason based on a couple of videos that I've done talking about Jamal Adams as well. I've been a big proponent of the Logan Ryan deal. So I knew this for a fact that Shaquille Griffin didn't have any interceptions last year, and I could remember all 3 other players. I think Bradley McDougald got a pick against the Rams the first time, didn't he? And then Trey Flowers, I remember he had one interception where I was like, dude, they just threw it right to him. Like he had no
Philadelphia, the first time we played him.
See, and that's where it was. So I can remember all the other players getting picks, so I went with Shaq.
All right, so you're tied, keeping stride for stride with Colin. To my surprise, actually, Trey Flowers, I think, led the team in interceptions. I think he had 3, And I think Quandre Diggs as well. If I recall, both of those guys had 3. So, yeah, as much as we complain about Trey Flowers, he did make some picks. He just got burned a lot. That's the only problem.
They kept throwing at him.
Yeah. So I guess when they keep throwing at you, eventually something good's going to happen. Unix Format in the Super Chat says, hit that like button. Yes, please do. You know who you are. I don't know who you are. I know some of you, but if you all hit that like button, I really love it. So let's go to the scoreboard to see how we're doing here after that trick question. Oh, and it did trick a few, including the first place. Shanoy drops to second. DZ slides to the number 1 spot. Sea Pigeon Roast, a.k.a. Rohan, moves to third. Deadly in fourth, and Sky High Aviation back onto the top 5. And 4 players just hit a 3-streak answer. So getting tight right here, but DZ on top. Let's go to the next question. Number 7. What was the average attendance at CenturyLink Field in 2019? 68,990, 68,243, 67,223, or 66,997. Again, 68,990, 68,243, 67,223, or 66,997. That's a lot of numbers there, folks. And a little bit of a trap there as well. 7 of you guessed it correctly. The answer was 68,990. I believe we got a record going for consecutive sellouts for I don't know how many seasons now. But let's see if they got the psychology on this one, because you guys love to play with the numbers when it comes to these types of things. We'll start with Colin.
I had a feeling it was above 66. That just felt too low. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking maybe 68,000, and I decided to go with B. So I got it wrong.
You went with the 68,243.
Yeah.
Okay, the first miss by Colin gives Calvin and Noah a chance to close the gap or take the lead. Calvin.
I got it wrong. I just I guessed 68,243.
You were with Colin on that one. Okay, so you stay with the 2-point margin, 4 points for Calvin. Noah, chance to take the lead, but does he take it?
I tried so hard to psychoanalyze this. I really did. But Norb, I gotta give you props. This was one of your best questions ever written, because I looked at it, I was like, okay, there's 2 that say 68, there's 2 that say 200. Well, there's also 2 that say 900. So, like, either way, it's like a 50-50. We all got it wrong by guessing the same one. Like,
yes! Because I usually suck at the number ones, and I got you this time. All right, so there's no change. 646, a miss across the board, and some misses in the YouTube scoreboard. But let's see what that does to the top 5 right here. DC, not fallen victim, stays on top. Sea Pigeon Roast moves up to second. Shanoy to third. Sky High Aviation moves up to fourth. And Deadly dropping to 5. DZ's got the highest answer streak of 7 going on right now. On fire! Let's go to the next question right here. Question number 8. How did the Seahawks offensive line rank at the end of 2019, according to Pro Football Focus? Were they ranked 27th, 16th, 32nd, or 19th? Offensive line rank, 27th, 16th, 32nd, or 19th? According to Pro Football Focus, 27th, 16th, 32nd, or 19th? Time is up. Wow, pretty good, you guys. Nicely done. 15 of you guys on YouTube guessed that one correctly, saying 27th. Yes, Pro Football Focus ranked the offensive line 27th out of 32 teams. Let's see if our panel agrees. Colin.
All right, so 32nd. I know we have an offensive line that's bad, but they're not that bad. 16th is a bit too good for us, and 27 seemed like too easy of an answer, so I said 19.
Oh, man, I thought you were going to tell me you got it right. Colin, 2 drops in a row here. Can the other guys on the panel take advantage? Calvin.
Yeah, allow me to take advantage. I got it right. I said 32nd. Yeah, like Colin said, I mean, we're pretty bad, but we're not the worst in the league. And so I ruled out 32nd. 19th just seemed too rich. Especially with Joey Hunt at center. No disrespect, but with Joey Hunt at center, no way we're finishing 19th. And then I don't remember what the other answer was, but 27 just seemed right.
Yeah, it was 32nd. Well, it's 16, 19, 27, and 32. So good psychology analysis there. Tightens the gap 6-5 with Colin with a 1-point lead, but Noah could be in the top spot if he gets this right. I'd love to hear the rationale behind what you guess here. Noah?
Okay, so my gut was telling me 19 because I felt like we were right around the middle of the pack, maybe on the lower side. But one of my Calvin knows this about me. He inspires a lot of the Boelt. I think, Norb, you could probably guess this about me. Colin, not this Colin, but Colin Cowherd is one of my favorite broadcasters. And this is one of his favorite statistics because he's always talking about how Russell Wilson doesn't get enough help. He's throwing out, we had a bottom 5 offensive line in the NFL. And I was watching I watch those videos consistently whenever he talks Seahawks. I remembered that and went based solely off Colin Cowherd and guessed 27th, and it was correct.
Oh, so Noah takes the lead at 7. So on the panel scoreboard, Noah with 7, Colin with 6, and Calvin with 5. A very tight game right here. Thank you for that analysis. I do like Colin Cowherd as well. And he does talk a lot about the help that Russell Wilson does not get. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard right here and see how things shake up. There is a bit of a shake-up. Not too much, though. DZ drops to second out of first place, which means C Pigeon Roast moves to the top. Man, this got Rohan. This got Rohan written all over it. And I don't know if he's in the chat. I haven't seen it. Rohan's Rohan in the chat, but he has not admitted to being C Pigeon Roast. But if I know Rohan, he wouldn't do it until the game's over. But let's find out if that is the case. Sky High Aviation moves up to third. Shinoy in fourth, and Deadly in fifth. 8 places up is Go Hawks, the highest climber, trying to get in the top 5. Here's the next question. Number 9. How does the Seahawks defense rank overall going into 2020, according to Pro Football Focus? Are we number 27th, 14th, 19th, or 32nd? Seattle defense going into 2020. 27th, 14th, 19th, or 32nd? Got 3 seconds. Time is up. Oh my goodness. You guys were like me. I was shocked to find this out. Only 3 of you got this correct. Yes, we were ranked dead last by Pro Football Focus going into 2020. Dead last. Let's find out from the panel if we are just as negative, our outlook on our defense, as Pro Football Focus. Colin.
All right. Sometimes I respect Pro Football Focus for some of the stats they come up with, but where are they getting this? I don't know. I just said 19. I can't believe this.
I couldn't believe it either. But yeah, that was shocking. And unfortunately for Colin, that's 3 straight misses in a row after starting red hot. Started 6-0, and now he's at a 3-game losing streak. Calvin.
I mean, I said 27th, but Pro Football Focus is tripping. I mean, ever since they put Russell Wilson at, I think, 28 on their top 101, they've just lost 33. I'm tripping. But ever since they put Russell Wilson at 33, I mean, I've kind of started to, take away credential points from Pro Football Focus. I used to, to read, articles from Pro Football Focus, and I used to trust them. But man, that's too. It hurts. But as with our offensive line, while our defense was bad last year, we weren't the worst in football. I mean, come on, look at the Dolphins, look at the Jets, look at the Redskins. There were some bad teams out there, and you're gonna call us the worst defense in football? We had, come on, that's just disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
I think
right, Bobby Wagner. That's disrespectful. I got it wrong, but I mean, wow.
I feel bad. I feel bad because I don't think anybody would have put that as the answer. I mean, 3 people out there apparently disrespect the Seahawks that much to put 32 as the number. I never would have guessed that myself, but that is what they said going into 2020. Let's see if Noah. I can't believe you would have put us at 32. What was your answer?
Yeah, no, I think if any of Seahawks fans put Seattle at 32, I'm about to take your fan card because no Seahawks fan should ever predict that about our own team. I also think you're kind of playing into Rohan, Norb. Like, I feel like Rohan might have been one of the three, and I'm terrified of that. But I said 27th. I said we're bad, but we ain't that bad. So I did, in fact, get it wrong.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. When you think about how, I mean, look, we got to the divisional game and almost won. I mean, you can't be 37. I know that's last year's defense, and they're also bringing up the fact that Clowney's not back yet. But still, I mean, it's not like our defense is going to be completely different. I mean, it's a lot of the same guys returning. They're crazy, man. I hope the Seattle defense looks at this and puts on their bulletin board and says, okay, we're going to have to prove these guys wrong. All right, well, let's see if how the scoreboard shakes out after that crazy question. Oh, only one change at the bottom. Sea Pigeon Roast still on top. DZ on his tail. Sky High Aviation close behind in third. Shinoy in fourth. And Chapman, 1992, gets into the top 5. Here we go. Next question. Number 10, true or false? This is double points now. True or false? Seahawks Martin's first game with NorbCam was against the Vikings. True or false? Seahawks Martin's first game with me was against the Vikings. True or false? I said they would get harder. This is about as easy as it gets if you've watched any episodes of this show. True or false? First game with Seahawks Martin against the Vikings. And look at that, 23-5. Got this correct. Yes, it was indeed against the Vikings. Let's see how well the panel knows the NorbCam Martin history. Colin.
50-50 shot, and I got it right. So.
Oh, but you didn't know. You had to guess.
No, yeah, I didn't know this one.
Okay, well, you're honest, but the truth be told, you're in the game. Oh, that's actually a 2-pointer. That makes it 8. You're in the lead right now, but Calvin, chance to stay close. What do you say, Calvin?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember hearing it one time, and so I was like, I gotta be sure. I mean, unless my ears were, tricking me, but yeah.
All right, 7 points for Calvin after the 2-pointer. Noah can maintain his 1-point lead with a correct answer here. Noah, tell me you know this.
I definitely remember the game where you guys went with when it was the Vikings on Monday Night Football. What I was worried about was if it could be a trick, but then I was like, because you guys might have gone to a game well before that I just didn't know about. But then I thought about, I'm like, Seahawks Martin's like barely even old enough to get in right now. So like, I'll assume that the Vikings was the first game, and I said true.
All right, so the scoreboard remains the same with Noah on top. Colin with 9, Colin with 8, and Calvin with 7. Anyone's game right now. In the super chat, thanks to Duran Everest, says, love you, Norb. Sub to Brandon Perna and Tom Grossi. Oh, yeah, Tom Grossi is a hilarious Packers fan. We did some collabs as well. So, yes. Oh, and also I wanted to shout out to Duran Everest, also doing another super chat earlier. Thanks again for your support, man. Appreciate it. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard, and let's see how the score shakes up. I expect it's not going to change much here, but we'll find out. Oh, just a little change. Sea Pigeon Roast still ahead. Sky High Aviation close behind by less than 300 or like 300 points. DZ moves to third. Shinoy in fourth, and Chapman, 1992, still in fifth. Up 9 places. Ray in Des Moines is the highest climber. All right, here we go. Just so you know, the last 2 questions are true or false, Noah's favorite, and they are worth double points. So for the double whammy, here we go. Question number 11. 2 questions to go. Here it is. Question number 11. True or false? Worth double. NorbCam has been to 1 game at Levi Stadium. True or false? I've been to 1 game at Levi Stadium. True or false? (50-50). I've been to 1 game at Levi Stadium. True or false? See how well you know me. Oh, tighter than I thought, but most of you did get this correct. That is false, because I've never been there yet. I have not been to Levi Stadium, believe it or not. Let's see how well the panel knows me. Colin.
All right, you just said that you've never been to Levi's, but I decided to use the exact opposite strategy. The way that you said 1, it sounded like maybe that you've been to it multiple times, but I still said false either way.
Oh, so you got it. You got the right answer. Okay. All right, Colin moves up to 10 points, gets to the double-digit scale. Calvin with a chance to keep pace has got to do it here. Calvin.
Man, this is where I fall off the race, I guess. I said true. Just because, because they were at Candlestick Park before, right? And so they were just recently renamed to Levi Stadium. And so I figured that, since then, you have to have been there at least once, but only once. And so I was like, let me roll with true.
Sorry, man. I wish I could say it was true, but not the case. Noah, trying to stay in the lead of Colin with a 2-point answer on the line.
So this was a tough question. I don't know if you guys could see my face when the question was asked, but it was me calling Norb's BS. Reason being, so the Thanksgiving game a couple years back when we were at San Francisco, or Santa Clara at that point, I believe that was the first season that the new stadium was in use. I was at that game, and I remember since that game, because Norb, I've been a fan of your channel since before that. So I remember a lot of the road games you've been to: Carolina, St. Louis. You've been a lot of different places. I don't remember Levi's, and so I said no.
All right, good logic. That's a dedicated viewer right there. Proof is in the pudding. Stays ahead of Colin by 1 point with that 2-point answer. Duran Everest in the super chat says, "Dare in, can I ask out your daughter, JK?" Everest. I don't think I'm even going to answer that one right here. You better watch your back, man. All right, let's go. Let's go. One question to go. Let's check the scoreboard right here with one more to go. Let's see how tight the standings are right now. Wow, it is tight at the top. Sea Pigeon Roast with 10,883. Sky High Aviation second with 10,456. DZ at third with 10,104. And then we got Chapman, 1992, moving up to fourth. And Schmilligard, I'm glad I got to say it at least once today, moves into the top 5 with one question left. Pay George, by the way, up 7 places trying to get in there. But it is a 3-horse race, at least the way I see it right now. Here we go. Final question for 2,000 points. True or false? NorbCam has directed Joel McHale in a video. That's Joel McHale, their picture. True or false? Joel McHale, if you didn't know, recently interviewed Russell Wilson. He's a very famous actor, been in a lot of shows, and mostly recently on the Jimmy Kimmel Show interviewed Russell Wilson. Did I direct Joel McHale in a video? True or false? Time is up. You guys would have no idea about this one, but I thought the fact that I saw Joel McHale had done that interview with him, I had to throw a little something in there. Yes, YouTube got this correct. 18 of you got this correct, that I have, in fact, directed Joel McHale. I'll tell you more of the story after I get to the bottom of the question here with the panel. Colin, total shot in the dark. I've never talked about this. Did you guess right?
Earlier in the chat, I think it was 2 questions ago, I saw Rohan say this is too oddly specific to not be true. And I used that logic and got it.
Okay, good thinking. And that is very correct in your direction. And I thought about that, and I thought, I don't care. I'm going to put it in here anyway. Calvin, did you use that same logic to get this right?
That's crazy. I did. I saw Rohan's exact comment, and I was like, that sounds very smart. And as much as we all despise him, he is a pretty smart guy. And so I was just like, you know what? I don't think it'd be a bad idea to take some of that advice. So, Noah, the master of psychoanalysis, did he take Rohan's advice for the win? Okay, it's an all or nothing right here. It's all or nothing, this question, because get it, you win it. Miss it, and it goes to Colin.
For the record, I would never take Rohan's advice. But second of all, I never saw the comment. But all this came down to for me, because this was really a shot in the dark. I'm like, it came down to Norb's ego for me. Would Norb put some celebrity in here? Like I don't even know who that is. Would he put some celebrity in here that he didn't direct just to try and trick us and really just play himself down? And I'm like, bro, Norb is not doing that. And so I said true.
You don't even know who Joel McHale is. Oh man. Oh, well, look him up and you'll recognize him. He's a big Seahawks fan. Seattle guy. All right. Well, Noah, congratulations. That puts you over the top. You maintain the 1-point lead, and you are the winner of this week's trivia contest in the panel. Colin with 1 point behind at 12, and Calvin with 9 points. Close game, but Noah, you got it this time. All right, let's go to the scoreboard. Let's see who the final three are on the winner's podium, and let's see who's going to be co-hosting a show in an upcoming episode right now. Get ready to take that picture, whoever the winner is. Here we go. In third place, with 10,883 points, is Sea Pigeon Roast. In second place with 11,821, Chapman 1992. And in first place with 12,016 is Sky High Aviation comes in for the win. Are you kidding me? Schmilligan in fourth and Nick LaBow in fifth. Sky High Aviation from the bottom had to get on the top five and takes the win, steals it from the top, man. I can't believe it. Sky High Aviation was just with us. Was it last week he was just with us? Is going to be doing a Colin, making a encore performance to win the trivia. 10 out of 12 questions, 12,016 points, coming from behind like a Russell Wilson fourth quarter touchdown for the win. Gets the number one spot on the trivia. I'm impressed, man. Sky High Aviation, very well done, man. That was awesome. So congratulations. We will connect to do another show together. But man, that was good. Way to go, man. Very well done. All right. So I always got to ask that question. So which was the? I think I already know, but which was the most surprising question in that trivia? Starting with you, Colin.
Probably the last one. That just came out of nowhere, and I don't think any of us had like a firm answer on that. So, yeah.
All right. How about you, Calvin?
I'd say the Shaq Griffin one, just because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I should have known that, but I didn't.
It's weird, huh? Doesn't it seem weird if somebody said, "Hey, man, how many interceptions did Shaquille have last year?" Your inkling is to say at least, I'm pretty sure he had at least one or two, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right. But then if you were asked which game did he have it in, you'd be going,
hold up.
No. Well, no. But it had to have happened, right? Because you just assumed that Shaquille Griffin is capable of that. That was surprising. I was shocked myself that he had so few and that Trey Flowers had so many. It blew my mind, honestly. So, Noah, how about you? Which was the most surprising question in today's trivia?
The stadium numbers, because you foolproofed my logic, and he did a good job. So that was a good question.
I'm actually surprised that you guys didn't bring up the defense is ranked number 32 going into next season.
Oh,
that one to me was the most shocking. I couldn't believe it. I was expecting 27, 28, maybe, kind of like the O-line, because they kind of are lumped together about overall performance. But 32. You're saying we have a defense that's worse than the Jets? Defense that's worse than anybody? Bring up the Giants. It's like, really? We're the worst, huh? Anyway, that was the most shocking to me. So anyway, Sky High Aviation, you don't need to take a picture to prove it. I already know where to find you. We'll connect and get this going on. So looking forward to it on the next show. So before I do sign off for today's show. Sorry again for all the technical difficulties at the beginning of the hour. It was crazy. But I do want to give our guests a chance to talk briefly about their programs and their channels. So let's start with our guest, Colin. Tell everybody, I know you got a YouTube channel. Tell everybody about it and what they can expect to find on your channel.
Yeah, my channel has mostly been inspired by the three guys in front of you, as well as Seahawks Martin. So if you like Norb's content and you like their content, then you should go check out mine. But also remember to go check out their videos as well.
Well, you got to say what your channel is, my friend.
Well, yeah, I make sports videos. My most recent video, I talked about who's going to win the NFC West and where all the teams are going to finish. So if you want to see rankings and just overall my thoughts on football, then go check it out.
And it is Golden Seahawk? Is that the name of your YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Golden Seahawk, got it right there. The link is in the description as well, but yeah, go give Colin's content a look. A very smart guy. Could have won today if not for one little tricky question. But yeah, has already been on this show twice, won twice. Smart kid right there. So let's go to our next one. Calvin, go ahead and tell everybody about where to find you and what you're all about, man.
Yes, sir. I'm going to let Noah get into the boat as usual. But if you guys haven't already, please show us all some love. You know, we're all just trying to hustle. We're all just trying to grind. And we greatly appreciate it if you guys, show us some love. Leave a like in this video. Drop a comment. And subscribe to all of our channels. You can find Noah at DJ Squabo, DJ SQUABO. He posts at least twice a week. And so be sure to hit the sub button and you won't miss any of those videos. As for me, I post on a weekly basis. You can find me at Steezy A. Smith. All the descriptions will be in the links below. I'm dropping a video this weekend. It's going to be NBA related. So I don't know how many NBA fans are out there, but I'll be debating who's the MVP, Giannis or LeBron. So if that sounds interesting, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
All right. So last but certainly not least, Noah the Boelt, winner of today's panel contest in the trivia. Noah, tell everybody what you're about, man.
So Saturday mornings from 10 to 1, myself as well as Calvin and usually one other guy, Dylan, but he's, not with us this week specifically. But we talk sports for 3 hours. We play games as well. This coming Saturday, we're going to bring back an old game that was a lot of fun, The Missing Link. It's super fun, and I can't wait to pick at Calvin's mind when we're able to do so. But you can tune in live with the KGRG app. Soon, our show is moving to YouTube. I'm going to rack and take notes off of Norb's brain as soon as possible so that I can pretty much do a similar format to what you're looking at right now. Hopefully, minus the technical difficulties, but no promises because
that's not my fault.
I'm the rookie here, so and he is sensei in this situation. So I greatly appreciate you, Norb. But also, like Calvin said, we do YouTube videos, all four of us. So please subscribe and like this video.
And I see that, Colin, you're almost to 100 subscribers, and everybody in the chat's trying to get you there. So hopefully you're only a handful away. So let's do it. Get Colin up there. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to Noah's and to Calvin's as well. And don't forget Seahawks Martin. He's in the chat, busy chatting it up. Sorry he couldn't make the show, but we'll get him next time. But yes, I'm looking forward to it. Noah, as you announced in your channel that you are going to be going to Wazoo, leaving in less than a couple weeks, right? When you leave for Wazoo?
17th is the day that I'm officially moving in. I might go down there a day or two early.
All right. So before he does that, yes, we're going to do a live show in person. Noah's going to come over here, and I don't know how we're going to do social distancing stuff in my studio. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we're going to do this thing as our final send-off before you head off to Wazoo. You get to do a co-broadcast together, and I'll try to show you everything I know to get you rolling so you can get your show on the road as well. So I'm looking forward to it, my friend. We'll definitely do that, and looking forward to the next trivia as well. And the sports nerd. Oh, go ahead, Noah.
I'm your humble grasshopper.
You are the grasshopper, and I am the sensei. And when you can walk across the rice paper without leaving a wrinkle, i.e. when you can do a live broadcast without Xfinity cutting off your signal, you will be a professional. All right. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. Oh, and shout out to the sports nerd who was a winner in my trivia contest as well. He's actually a Kansas City fan, so I'm going to have to get his take on the whole. We're not going to win not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, blah, 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 and talk about that whole thing. But he has actually proposed, he did his own NFL trivia contest, Kahoot, and has challenged me to send it off to me so I can put it on the show, but I would not only moderate it, but I would have to actually answer and play the game myself and see how I do. So I think it's only fair that I do that and show how little I really don't know about anything and play the contest and see how it goes. So we will work that out as a special broadcast with him as a co-host and get a couple of the guests in there as well. So that's coming up on a future show. All right. That's it, you guys. Thanks for sticking with me through all this nonsense. And for those of you on the East Coast who are way past your bedtime, it's like 12:30 in the morning over there. You guys should be asleep already, but I'm glad you guys are watching me anyway. So thanks for everybody who was in the super chat, who are in the chat in general. Thank you for my guests. Colin, thank you for coming back and being part of this. I almost won it. Calvin, appreciate you, man. I know you had to rush from work to get on here, and I'm glad you made it. Noah, congrats on the win. Looking forward to our in-person collab. We'll be a COVID collaboration. Yeah, send you off with some virus. Just kidding. I'm good. Okay. And then to everybody else who watched tonight and participated in the trivia, appreciate you guys doing that. And for all of you guys who tuned in to watch this nonsense, greatly appreciate it. And any support you can do in the forms of subscribing, liking, and commenting, and hitting that bell, we would all appreciate that. All right, you guys. Until next time, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Go Hawks.
All right, y'all.